I taught 8 a.m. classes.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And I taught 8 a.m. classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then I had no class Tuesday, Thursday. It ended up being the best schedule ever. Because I was hyper productive because I had to wake up so fucking early every day. However,
I'm gonna get an ice cream sandwich.
Okay. That yell that I just did,
Yeah.
where I go, woo, but at the top of my lungs,
Yeah.
I would do that every single morning when I walk into class. Because you walk into 8 a.m. class with a bunch of college students, they're all asleep, or hungover, or both. And so you walk into class with a, woo! And you really set the tone.
Probably wakes up everybody.
It does. You can tell the students who had a long night because the students who just woke up, they're like, okay, whatever, it's annoying. You're making loud noises. But the students who are like up all night, they look at you with absolute contempt. They're like, this bastard.
He's just like us.
Yeah. Walk into this class and scream. Sometimes you gotta do that though. Sometimes you gotta jump up on desks, make a bunch of noise, yell. Man, teaching's a weird thing. Do you have fuego, por favor?
Yeah.
Gracias.
Today we are going to talk about medicinal marijuana. Only smoke if you have a card, ladies and gentlemen, or if it's legal in your state. That's all I can recommend. Especially on my podcast.
Or you can just be a dirty criminal.
Right.
Ooh, how's that sandwich looking?
This ice cream sandwich is delicious.
How many fucking ice cream sandwiches have we eaten in the last, 10 days?
Well, I just ate 4 today.
Just 4 today, huh?
Yeah. And then probably 7 at Alex's.
Each day?
That one day. And then, we did come back the next day.
I would say it's probably 30 ice cream sandwiches between the three of us.
I agree.
God knows how many he's eating at his house when he's alone. So what about medicinal marijuana? What do you want to talk about?
How is it to have a card?
It's pretty sweet, man. You know, it's a weird feeling because I haven't come in contact with the authorities in Maryland yet, thank God.
Yeah.
But I did come in contact with authorities when I was in Montana while I had my card.
Okay.
It's actually an interesting story. A friend of mine got pulled over. I was in the back seat. And I almost got arrested that night, actually, because the cop refused to check my identity.
Really?
But that's a different story for a different time. But basically what ended up happening was the cop came and opened our door. And the cop's partner came and opened the other side. They opened the back seat first because they had already decided that they were going to arrest the driver because she had been drinking. So they opened my door, and instantly he's like, ooh, it smells, who's got the weed? And I had just gotten my card, a couple weeks ago, so I was like, it was me! I'm like, I've got it, right here in my pocket.
You said that?
Yeah. I step out of the car, and he tells me to turn around and put my hands behind my back. He starts cuffing me, and after I'm cuffed, he's like, okay, what pocket's the weed in? I'm like, the weed is in that pocket right there, sir. And then my wallet's in that pocket, and it has my medical card. And he had his hand in my pocket, taking the weed out when I said that, and he stopped. And then he grabbed my wallet, looked inside my wallet for 2 minutes, and then put my weed back in my pocket. And apologized. Sorry about that, sir. And I was like, oh, it's no big deal. Don't worry about that, sir. Why don't you have a good night, sir? It feels good, man. It feels liberating. And then he marched me to the squad car and tried to put me in the squad car while I was arguing the whole time that I am Brian. He's like, oh yeah, I've heard it 1,000 times before.
Oh, the cop was trying to do that? Or?
No, the cop who put the weed back in my pocket still tried to arrest me because there was a warrant out for someone else's arrest. Someone else in the car.
Okay.
Won't go into the details, but he thought it was me. And I was like, no, I'm Brian. And the other cop, his partner, had my wallet. I was like, check my wallet. And he's like, yeah, I've heard it lots of times before. You're not Brian. Or no, it's like, you're not this other guy.
Yeah.
You're Brian. I was like pleading with him. I'm like, check my fucking ID, you fat bastard. And he refused. And then his partner, so he was like this fat old man. Mm-hmm. And his partner was this really young girl. And so I think that he was training her or something like that. Because she kept like going to him and like she kept kind of like looking at him like, what am I supposed to do next, you know? Mm-hmm. And then finally she was the one that went to him and like, well, maybe we should just check it one more time.
Yeah.
Just to be sure. Because I wasn't going to be like, hey, the guy you want to arrest is in the car right now. Mm-hmm. But I am going to be like, hey, I'm not that guy, so you can go fuck yourself. I'm not getting in your car.
Yeah.
So finally they checked my ID again and they're like, yeah, it's not you. And so then he apologized to me again. And then that time I was like, yeah, fuck you. You stuffed that apology right up your fat ass. If his partner wasn't there, he would have taken me all the way to the police station.
Yeah.
He probably would have been processing me, like taking my fingerprints and shit before he realized who I was. Dumb bastard. Huh. But yeah, half the people in the car got arrested. And the cops lied to us about the bail. The cops said that it would be $80 to bail your friend out. And we go to the police station that night, and then the guys at the police station said it's $500.
Damn.
So.
Somebody had to pay that $500?
Nah. We didn't have $500. We just left him in jail.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. They got out. Everyone's out of jail. Everyone's free now. So, you know.
Shit happens.
It's all well that ends well, right?
Yeah, medicinal marijuana. Well, now... Yeah, I can't really compare that to anything. That was just a sticky situation that you were in.
It was much less regulated in Montana.
Okay.
Than it is here in Maryland. Much less. In Maryland, it's much more scientific. They have much more information about the weed. Mm-hmm. And they're much more clear with the law. Which actually ends up being a problem because the law being so vague in Montana actually protected the smokers. Mm-hmm. Whereas the law is quite specific here in many ways. And so it wouldn't be easy, but it would be doable to accidentally be breaking the law here. Like these tags on the bottle, this tag that's hanging off. If let's say I just threw this bottle into like a pocket or something like that, and I was walking around all day, and this tag comes off. Yeah. Then I get caught with the bottle. It's illegal.
Yeah, because you need the tag, the prescription tag.
Now, what if the tag is just floating around in my pocket, and I pull the tag out, and I go, look, this was on this, it just fell off. Yeah. I don't know if the cop would believe me. Who knows?
Huh. That's an extreme example, though.
Not really. That tag will come off real easy.
But it's supposed to be it's only supposed to be in your, house that you're supposed to have all this.
No, you can have it anywhere. You just can't smoke it anywhere except in a private residence.
Okay. But they figured, we'll make it not too durable, but I don't know. I see what you're talking about. It would rip off.
Yeah, super easily. Whereas these are just from two different companies, you see?
Yeah.
This one has a tag right on there, like it's not going anywhere. Uh-huh. This one is just kind of hanging off. So, in that sense, there's probably not enough regulation. Mm-hmm. But I will always err on the side of less regulation than more. And the market will just decide. Like, I think this is a nicer container than this one. So I think the market should lean toward this container.
Okay. Even though you might have to pay an extra $1 or $2 for the container?
It's unlikely. The profit margins in medical marijuana are outrageous. And so I don't think that good business would include trying to rip people off for an extra 20 cents because you're using a slightly higher quality container. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I like these ones because they have the push sides. Yeah. Have you seen these yet? These squeeze sides ones? These never existed in Montana. Right now in Maryland, it's the first time I've ever seen that. I actually prefer that now.
Why? Why do you prefer that?
Because it's so easy, man. I can do it with... Oops. I dropped it on the ground instantly. Oh, never mind. Fuck this container.
And then it just popped out.
Yeah, it opened up and the weed came fucking jumping out. But this requires two hands. It requires me to pay attention. God damn, it's nice. I smell it.
No, sounds like weed.
Yes, it does. Anyway.
I guess I did want to ask if the CBD oil actually helped you or not, but this is the first time you're trying it.
Yeah, so I probably couldn't tell you.
This is exciting though. The CBD has some health benefit.
I think what's exciting is that legality at a national level, at a federal level, is probably inevitable. The states that are legalizing or that are decriminalizing are making so much money, it's insanity.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to explain to people who don't smoke, like from a business perspective. You should think of weed like you run through it at probably the same or higher volume than tobacco, but it costs more than alcohol. You know, you buy like a $40 bottle of alcohol, you're not going to drink that in one sitting.
Yeah, the profit margin is
unlikely.
huge.
Yeah. Whereas you buy like a pack of cigarettes, you might smoke that all in one day.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 packs of cigarettes a day. Now imagine if you ran through alcohol as fast as you run through cigarettes. And it's just as expensive. So we're talking about a huge industry.
Yeah. And there's definitely a demand for it.
No, it's infinite demand for it. I don't see how... I mean, the market would have to be so saturated for them to oversupply, for them to have too much weed and not be able to sell it.
Yeah.
Now, eventually that will happen, of course, but yeah, it's going to get so big before that happens.
So what's the type of people you saw at the dispensary?
Mostly criminals. No, this is all normal people, man. Just normal humies. Just going about their day, trying to get some fucking drugs.
Aunt Jemima with her back problems and her cataracts. Trying to cure cataracts.
That shit's great for my glaucoma. Well, man, personally, I think that we should legalize everything.
And
I
just-
think if you want to shoot heroin into your dick, that's your business. That's none of mine. As long as you're not hurting anybody else, you should be free to do anything you want to do.
What about the other end where it's, to play devil's advocate, it's the government that wants to regulate that to make sure you're not making any money out of it?
Well, that's why they would just regulate it the same way they regulate all substances. Like right now, I could go out and ingest enough caffeine to kill myself, enough alcohol. I could smoke cigarettes, and eventually die.
Yeah.
I could eat myself into death pretty easily, which a lot of people do, a lot of Americans. So why can't I don't know, OD on crank? Like, what difference really is there? If I choke on my vomit after doing heroin, or if I, die of multiple organ failure when I'm morbidly obese.
It looks bad when you're doing it in the public.
Hey man, it looks bad being morbidly obese in public. Looks
Yeah.
really fucking bad. I'd rather see a junkie.
The police are somehow governing you not having your dead body on store property. So they don't have to clean you up
So they clean you up.
and spend tax-paying dollars.
That's why if you kill yourself, you should throw yourself in the ocean so no one has to clean you up.
Be less of a nuisance.
Yeah, right? Be thoughtful. I'm gonna grab an ice cream sandwich.
Yeah, suicide's not for me.
Stop laughing about it then. God, you heartless monster.
It's good to stay optimistic. Yeah. But the convenience of it is huge, isn't it? Brian?
Convenience of medical?
Yeah.
Oh, it's insane. I mean, going into a store and buying weed in a store legally.
Yeah.
Not just legally, but dirt cheap compared to buying it illegally.
And the state makes money off of it, right?
Yep, state makes crazy money. I'm sure it's taxed out the ass. That's the only way that states can justify legalizing it and going against the federal government is by taxing the shit out of it.
Mm-hmm. No, but this is probably like a pothead question. Would you ever see a? Do you think you would see a state versus federal war anytime soon?
No.
No chance, right?
Mm-mm.
Federal would just bomb everything.
No. They would never fight each other. I mean, the federal government fighting the states would be, cutting his nose to spite his face.
Another civil war.
The federal government would lose. Because
no income.
at the end of the day, the federal government's kind of an idea.
Yeah.
That idea is perpetrated by a large group of people. But if all those people had a good reason to not continue that idea, like, for example, their state was being attacked, then obviously they wouldn't participate anymore.
Mm. Well, that question went nowhere.
All right, well, my short answer is the state would win.
Really? You think the state would win?
Mm-hmm.
It would just outlast the federal government?
So, let me ask you, what would the federal government do? Send the army in?
Yeah.
So American soldiers are going to come kill American civilians?
Or arrest them.
Mm. But if they resist?
They would arrest them.
What if
Oh, like militia?
they resist arrest?
Oh, no, I don't want to get detailed. The war is horrible, but...
Well, that's the point I'm making. The moment the federal government decides to take some kind of action like that, the only result is dead Americans. That's the only thing that you can definitely guarantee will happen. Because some people will not go quietly, like myself. And most people shouldn't. I think most people wouldn't. I think your parents wouldn't go quietly. My parents wouldn't go quietly.
Yeah, especially if it was a war.
Well, it doesn't even have to be war. It can just look like the beginning of tyranny.
Like, what example? Because,
like if the government started monitoring people online, and then all of a sudden people were just disappearing. All over the country, people are just being arrested in the night, taken in the night.
Mm-hmm.
Your door is fucking knocked down in the night, and they drag one of your family members away because they made some tweet about the government that the government didn't like.
Yeah.
I think America is one of the only places in the world that can't exist. That type of tyranny cannot exist. Why? Because the people hold all the power. The government attempts to have a monopoly on violence, and it does have a monopoly on violence inside of a controlled environment. But the moment that the government throws chaos in there, which is what they would be doing if they went around and started arresting people, like, in the gulag system of Russia, kind of political arrests.
Yeah.
Then it's game over. It's all hands on deck. It's just pure chaos then.
Yeah.
Suddenly, how much respect would you have for the rule of law if they came in and arrested your mom in the middle of the night for a tweet? Suddenly it's fucking game over. You, your brother, your dad, fucking an army of Armenians, they're suddenly ready to go to war. And that's how it happens, man. But if you lived in like Soviet Russia, where no one had any power, no one had any weapons, they didn't have any guns, one of the first types of people that the government went after were veterans who just finished fighting World War II. They were fucking soldiers. They were heroes.
Mm-hmm.
They were Soviet heroes. They were all thrown in the gulags because the government knew that they were dangerous people. You can't just have millions of trained soldiers, veterans of war, walking the streets.
And why'd they arrest them?
They arrested them because they were a threat to the government power. So,
just being like a trained soldier, being a citizen.
Yeah, you're a patriot, and as a patriot, you respect and love your country, and the government doesn't want patriots. The government wants slaves. They want drones. Because patriots are willing to turn on the government if they think it's in the best interest of the people. which is what the government doesn't want.
So why did this happen? Like,
You're asking me why Soviet Russia went into chaos?
No. At what time? Like what? When did this happen? Like that the government started arresting veterans.
Well, it started with Lenin. He began the Gulag system in Russia.
Oh, Gulag.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it went over to Stalin, and then we got through World War II. And then Stalin increased the let's call it scale and efficiency of the Gulag system dramatically.
Like the upcoming of communism, where they were just regulating.
It was already communist at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, when they were like regulating people instead of things.
Well, communism's so fucked. It just never works. I'm not an expert, but I've read things like the Gulag Archipelago, and I listened to a lot of economists talk about communism.
Mm-hmm.
And in Soviet Russia, toward the end of Stalin's rule, the vast majority of their GDP, the money the government was making, came from the forced labor of their prison camps. Now, that goes to show how shockingly unproductive a communist country is, that almost all of the money they make is from forcing their people to work in mines and cut down trees and do all this manual labor.
Mm-hmm.
Shockingly unproductive. I mean, look at China. They don't admit it. They won't admit it. If you go to China, they will... Anybody, a little child on the street, an old person, doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody will tell you it's a communist country. It's not. In many ways, China is more capitalistic than America. The way that the Chinese say it is, the honest Chinese, they'll tell you it's one party, two systems. Mm-hmm. Meaning that the Communist Party runs the government, but they utilize both communist and capitalist system simultaneously. They try to take the best from both worlds, which I think is kind of the opposite of America. America is sort of taking the worst from both worlds. America has massive entitlement systems where we throw money away without actually helping anybody. Whereas at the same time, we attempt to be capitalist. But do we get the low tax rates and low regulation of a capitalist society? No. We get the high tax rates and the high regulation of a socialist society. So we're not getting any of the benefits of a socialist society like free shit. And we're not getting any of the benefits of a capitalist society like easy business. We're somehow stuck with the worst of both. Again, I'm not an expert. That's just the way I see it. I could be completely wrong.
Yeah. I'm not saying, like you are, but something to think about. Something to read and research.
There's too much reading to do, man. I need a hyperbolic time chamber. Alright? I'm a slow reader. I need like a decade to catch up. Give me a decade to read things that I should have already read by now.
It's a lot of reading.
It is.
Or just one book, depending how slow you are.
Dude, some books take me 6 months to read. And I've tried listening to audiobooks, but unless I'm reading it, I just can't focus. If it's an audiobook, I need to listen to it like 20 times in order for the information to stick the same way as if I read it once. So reading just ends up being more efficient.
Yeah, I have the same experience. So, on to lighter subjects.
Yeah.
How was Dragon Ball Z Super?
I haven't watched it yet.
You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it. Have you seen any?
No. We should watch it.
I can't find it. It's not on Netflix. It's not on YouTube.
It used to be released on YouTube every week.
Really? I didn't see any on YouTube.
Yeah.
I looked a little while ago.
They probably took it down.
Probably. I don't know why they would release it on YouTube, because it's real shit made by Toriyama. So
I saw the first 3 episodes.
Why would it be on YouTube?
I saw the first...
Are you insane, man?
I know. I was like, well, I guess they're still making money, but they're...
Well, I heard the whole first series was just a recap of the movies.
Okay.
Of the World's Strongest, or not World's Strongest, Battle of Gods, or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know anything about the
Well, have you seen the
storyline too
movies?
much. No, I don't think I've seen the movies.
Oh, well, I've seen the movies.
Okay.
The 2 Dragon Ball Super movies. Well, no, actually, I've only seen one. I didn't see the Frieza one. I just remember that.
Frieza's still alive?
So there's 2 Dragon Ball Super movies that I know of, at least. One of them is the one where Lord Beerus comes down to Earth during the big capsule corp party.
Okay.
And the other one is, I think Frieza comes back and he achieves a new form. He turns into Gold Frieza. And I think Goku has to go to Super Saiyan God to beat him.
So this is new?
Yeah, that's all new shit.
Oh. I was gonna say, Frieza already came back, Trunks killed her.
Him.
It's a dude?
I believe so. Don't misgender it.
Oh,
God.
sorry.
Anyway.
We're politically correct.
Hey, the storm passed.
Yeah, it did.
So, what I heard was that the beginning of Dragon Ball Super, the TV show, was just a recap of the 2 movies. Like the first 10 episodes or something like that is really just the same content as the movies.
There's only 2 movies?
I don't know, bro. That's just what I know of. 2 movies that I know of. There might be 50 movies at this point.
Well, we should definitely watch Dragon Ball Z Super.
I know, man. I have a giant list of old school animes I need to watch. And I feel like I should do some content creation for them. Like Yu Yu Hakusho, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, great show.
The red and, white hair guy?
Mm-hmm. White and black, I think. His hair.
Or he's wearing red.
He has that gun where he shoots out of his finger. Pew, energy. Pure energy.
I don't remember that.
And he has that stupid friend with the pompadour and the sword, the fire sword.
I barely remember this. This is 90s.
He's wearing a blue suit pants and a blue shirt.
I'm pretty sure I've seen every episode.
Yeah.
Just a really long time ago.
Yeah, exactly. Arman, there's an anime that I can only remember one scene of.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember that scene because it was the greatest scene in anime that I'd ever seen at that point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you what it is. So, this is just what I vaguely remember. I need to talk to some super nerd. I need to talk to the Sauron of nerds. The Gandalf the White of nerds.
Yeah.
And I need to just describe the scene to him, and then he can tell me what anime this is
We'll
from.
find him.
Yeah. So here's the scene. The good guys, small group of good guys, finally are able to confront the head bad guy.
Okay.
And they're inside of a room. Imagine a really big room, an office room or something like that with nothing in it. It was a Japanese setting, with the straw floors and stuff.
Okay.
And the bad guy has this big group of henchmen who are professionals. They always work together and stuff like that. And he hired them, and throughout the whole show, these big group of henchmen have been fighting the good guys, and they're always beating them. This group of henchmen are so fucking powerful, and they all have these different abilities, big strong guy, really fast guy, big fat guy, blah blah blah.
Of course.
And they're I remember it being a little bit. It's a little fantasy. I think some of the bad guys were demons or something like that, or they're part demon. I don't know. But I remember them being not human. And what it turns out, in what you think is going to happen, it's going to be some epic last stand where the good guys lose. Because they've been getting their ass kicked the whole time by this group of bad guys. And now it's the bad guys and the head bad guy. And they're all together and oh man, they're fucked.
Okay.
But what ends up happening is the head bad guy turns on everybody else. And his henchmen guys turn on him. But the reason that happens is a very beautiful reason. It's because his henchmen guys are professional martial artists. Mm-hmm. And he basically proclaims that this is the age of technology and all of you are outdated. And when he proclaims that, he unveils a secret weapon, which is a Gatling gun. The first minigun.
Really?
And then the final scene is his group of henchmen, these professional badasses who have been kicking the asses of the good guys throughout the entire show. Yeah. His I think it was a group of 7. The 7 of them basically just charge his Gatling gun from across a room.
And they get annihilated.
They destroy the gun, but all 7 of them die.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
They're able to defeat his weapon. Because it's like, no one calls it a Gatling gun, because no one even has, like, the idea is that it's the very most brand new technology in the show, in the universe in the show. And so no one had ever even seen like an effective gun really at that point. But then now he's got like a fucking Gatling gun, and he starts cranking it, just laying waste to the room, and these 7 badasses charge him, and they're just getting machine gunned down and shit. And then of course they defeat his gun, and then the only thing that's left in the room are the good guys and the main bad guy. And I think they defeat him, but I don't remember that. But yeah,
I have no clue, honestly.
That always stuck with me. How badass it was. Because at the end of the day, those henchmen had honor. At the end of the day, what mattered to them is martial arts.
Because they didn't use any weapons.
Mm-hmm. Well, they didn't use like guns and shit.
Oh, okay.
They maybe had like throwing knives or something like that. But that would be it. Maybe like a melee weapon.
Well,
it was so badass.
You have the whole internet now.
Dude, I've tried.
No, I mean like somebody maybe that's listening to the podcast can.
You know what I did once?
Out.
I actually Googled animes from the 90s.
Go to.
And you know what it did? It took me to a wiki page where it told me every single anime that was released and then was broadcast in America from 1990 to 1999. I looked through every single one, couldn't find it. So it's either it's from before then or from after then.
Do you remember Cartoon Network where it turned into Adult Swim and then...
Fuck yes.
And then it turned into like...
Toonami.
Toonami.
Yeah.
Type in like Toonami.
Tried. Now, in the process, I found a bunch of shows I forgot about. Like, Ronin Samurai or something like that. Ronin Warriors.
Okay.
The Samurai, like the Demon Samurai show. Have you seen that?
I think so.
Good show.
Yeah. Toonami had some good shows.
The
best. It had Samurai Jack, it had Gundam, it had...
Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
It had everything. Man, that shit changed my life.
Yeah.
So I'm 27 years old. Looking back now, I think one of the most formative things that ever happened to me was my parents put this little TV. It was like 12 inches by 12 inches, you know? Little box TV in my room when I was a kid living in New Jersey.
Nice.
I don't know how old I was. Probably like 8 or 9 years old.
Uh-huh.
And that was like right around when Adult Swim... That was right around when Cartoon Network started.
Uh-huh. Maybe.
But I remember after I got that TV, I had that TV for like maybe a year, and then Adult Swim began. So I could probably Google when Adult Swim came up, and I would know when I got the TV. But anyway, it changed my life. It gave me such an intense appreciation for anime. I watched it every single night because I could never sleep. I had terrible insomnia.
Was that the same time Nintendo 64 came out?
Probably.
When did Nintendo 64 come out?
I don't think that was the same time because I remember I already had a Nintendo 64.
Okay.
But I think that was around when the PlayStation 1 came out.
Okay. Yeah, I bought the PlayStation 1.
Yeah, me too.
I would still use the living room TV.
It was so badass.
Yeah.
You remember that old school fucking like Twisted Metal and Mech Warrior?
It's probably the best fucking games. What was it? Tenchi, the ninja game. I don't know if you played that.
Didn't.
And like the first bonus map, which you would go to like you would go to hell. You would fight 100 levels to hell, and then you get like a secret weapon.
Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah! The first time stuff happens is always amazing. Yeah. Do you remember those tiny little micro discs? It was like a really small CD.
For like and
like they would have a demo game on it, and so like sometimes you'd buy a game and you open it up and it would have one of these little micro discs. I remember one of them had a micro disc and it didn't have any playtime. You couldn't play it, but it was just like a movie, like a commercial, like a really long commercial, like a 10-minute commercial.
Okay.
And it was for the I'm trying to remember the names. It was like the knockoff of
Monkey Ball or something.
No,
it was a video game. Or?
No. It was it came out first as action figures.
Okay.
And it was maybe called Connect or something like that. And then instead of being Lego, instead of being blocks, it was like pipes that connect with each other.
Okay.
Do you remember that vaguely?
Kind of. They still have.
And then
like that,
that evolved into being like a fantasy world with these like badass samurai ninja guys that were called Bionicles.
Yeah.
You remember Bionicle?
Yeah.
I remember getting a disc for the like some new Bionicle game or something like that, and I watched that over and over and over again because it looked so badass. The game looked terrible, actually. But it was like 10 minutes of like poor quality CGI of like
and they would have
Bionicles,
action.
Bionicles fighting and shit like that. Yeah. And they had all these different types. There was like a fire guy who's like surfing on the lava inside of a volcano.
A lot cooler than actually playing it.
Yeah, so much cooler.
I think they came out with a series. A Bionicle series.
They probably did, like a TV show.
Yeah.
Probably, man.
That was a cool concept.
Yeah, very cool. What's a good current TV show? Good current anime, I should say.
I haven't watched TV in like 4 years.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm not even joking.
Get out of here. Get the fuck
Netflix,
out of here.
yeah. But TV, I have no idea what's on TV. Besides what I hear from friends, like...
I'm disappointed that there's not more anime on Netflix.
Maybe there is. There's a lot more than this Roku adaptation.
Roku sucks dick. Fuck Roku.
There's tons on...
Filthy casuals. Yeah, I searched anime on this Roku and like three options came up.
Yeah.
It was like Sword Art Online, One Punch Man with no English dub. Are you shitting me? And what else? Like some show I've never heard of before.
Sword Art.
Yeah, online.
Online.
I've watched like 2 or 3 episodes of that. It's so the idea of it is like these kids go into a virtual reality game and then get stuck in it.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like a fantasy RPG virtual reality game, but they're stuck in there. They're trapped in there. It's like Matrix. If you die in there, you die in real life kind of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But my biggest problem with that TV show is they won't leave it alone. Like, I watched, like, the first 4 or 5 episodes, and non-stop, every single episode, they're like, they can't stop reminding you that they're in a game. They're in a video game. You know, it's a concept that I think only works if you discard the concept immediately.
Yeah.
Like, you stop talking about it.
Yeah.
Every single battle, they're like, this is a video game. I'm going to do this and this and this. Every single battle. This isn't real life, but I can't die here, otherwise I'll die in real life. It's just so much exposition. I get sick of that in anime. It's too much exposition.
Yeah, a lot of anime has that. Like flashbacking and stuff like that, and talking about...
Or just narrating. Just like he fucking sits there and talks
about
for
his
20
feelings.
minutes. Yeah, his goddamn feelings. I don't give a shit. Fight him. Do something actionable.
Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
38 minutes.
38. All right, want to call this one?
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening again. You know, check out the next podcast. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Do whatever you like. If you don't want to do those things, then don't do them. This has been Brian.
And Arman.
Bye-bye.
See ya.